This presentation will lead you through some mathematical examples of how a legacy consultant earns money at the first three ranks of the compensation structure and career structure at the Priceless Legacy Company. That's the legacy consultant, senior consultant, and team leader levels. There's a lot of detail here, so please pay attention and don't be afraid to follow up with questions if they're still unanswered. Compensation calculations from the legacy consultant to team leader ranks. It's a good idea to first watch the introduction to the career and compensation video before delving into this topic. In this presentation, we'll deal with a lot of numbers and really get down to some detail at the basic level of how the compensation and career plan works at Priceless Legacy. We're going to walk through the basic structure of the compensation plan, walk through various earnings examples, and then try to anticipate some questions you might have. As always, please see the official Priceless Legacy Career and Compensation Guide in a PDF form on the website for detail and authority on this topic. Let's take a big picture look at the career and compensation plan as a whole. Today, we're going to talk about the legacy consultant, senior consultant, and team leader ranks. We're not going to get into the more advanced levels. That's the subject of another presentation. You'll notice, going from left to right, that every LifeStory sold earns a 25% commission regardless of the rank of the legacy consultant. A personal sales bonus, or PSB, is paid out in those months where there were 2 LifeStories done, in which case it's at 5%, or in those months where there were 3 LifeStories or more done by the legacy consultant, it's paid out at 10%. We also have a personal sponsoring bonus or personal recruiting bonus of 3% when you're a senior consultant or a team leader on the sales of members of your team. There's also such thing as a central team override, which are percentages earned by the much more senior legacy consultants, and again, that'll be the topic of another presentation. We also have our quick start incentives, especially during the first year, the first 90 days. We also have our personal sponsoring account concept, where money is set aside for each person that you sponsor into the organization, up to $1,000 per person, and you earn a 10% royalty on the sales of that person, and we'll describe that as well. And then there's some short and medium term incentives as well. And finally, and quite enticingly, at the higher levels, as you earn a higher rank, you can earn a RAB, or a rank advancement bonus, of these amounts all the way up to $10,000 at the highest levels. Again, today there are 9 ranks in total in the Priceless Legacy organization in the field. We're just going to talk about legacy consultant, senior consultant, and team leader today. So here's one simple example. A legacy consultant, let's call him or her A, sells one LifeStory for $1,299 and does not sponsor anyone. This is just one simple example. That person would earn a 25% commission of $325 and a $100 first book quick start bonus for a total of $425. In a second scenario, the same person sells 2 LifeStories in a given month and doesn't sponsor anyone again. Here, there would be 2 different LifeStories, number 1 and 2, for $325 each. That's 25% for each. And then a personal sales bonus, because she did 2 LifeStories that month, she gets $130 there. That's 5% times $12.99 times 2. And then there's a first book bonus and a second book bonus for a total of $930. And if she keeps selling as many as 3 stories in a given month, there would be additional compensation. 25% for each of the 3 books, $390, or 10% of this total amount, or 10% of $12.99 times 3 would also be paid out. And there would be first book bonuses, second book bonus, and a third book bonus, all as part of the Quick Start program, again, in the first 90 days, for a total of $1,565. So now what happens if there's some sponsoring, team building, or recruiting, whatever word you like to use, but really it's all about adding legacy consultants into our program and into our company. If in a simple example, Legacy Consultant A sells one life story for $12.99 and sponsors one new Legacy Consultant who also sells one life story. It would look like this: the same base commission for $325, the first book bonus of $100, and then a personal sponsoring account royalty of 10% on $12.99 or $130 on the efforts of that one recruit, for a total of $555. In a similar example, that same Legacy Consultant A sells two life stories for $12.99 each and sponsors two new Legacy Consultants who each sell one life story. So that's a total of 4 life stories. The base commissions here would be $325 each for the 2 books that A sold, a 10% personal sales bonus because he or she sold 2 life stories in a month. And then I put it in green here to show you why it's coming off of the recruiting activity. 3% on the sales of the 2 new individuals in that month. Again, it's 1 story each. And then the personal sponsoring account of 10% times $12.99 times 2. Again, 1 book each for the 2 new folks of $260. And we still got the quick start first book bonus and second book bonus. So in this example, the earnings would be $1,398 for that month for that Legacy Consultant who sold 2 stories on his or her own and sponsored 2 other Legacy Consultants who each sold 1. So to describe it in career terms, you become active when you purchase the welcome kit and you sell your first life story. You have to be active to earn anything, and active is defined as 1 life story in the current month or the 3 prior month period, or the prior 3-month period. You're title qualified, in other words, you get to call yourself a senior consultant if you sold 2 life stories in a calendar month and have 2 active personally sponsored Legacy Consultants. And you're entitled to that 3% personal recruiting bonus if you've sold at least one life story and have at least 2 personally sponsored Legacy Consultants. And then moving up to the 3rd rank is called Team Leader, and it's very similar in concept, but there you've sold 2 stories in a given month and have 4 personally sponsored Legacy Consultants. Another way of summarizing it is, at the first rank, a Legacy Consultant is someone who is active by definition and has sold purchased their kit and sold 1 life story. And they get to keep their title as long as they are active. And they can earn a special bonus of 5% if they sell 2 stories in a given month, or 10% if they sell 3 or more stories in a given month. Again, that's designed to really give people incentive to push a little bit and get more stories done in a shorter period of time. The senior consultant is somebody who has sold 2 life stories in a given month and personally sponsored 2 active Legacy Consultants, and so on. And you'll be able to read this in the Resource Center. I won't go through it all right now, but the same PSB applies as well. And then finally, a team leader is very similar to a senior consultant, except he or she has 4 active Legacy Consultants that they've sponsored, not just 2 like the senior consultant. And they also enjoy the 3% PSB and the personal recruiting bonus as well. This isn't mentioned, by the way. There's also an additional 10% for the PSA, or the personal sponsoring account, which is a very exciting feature for the first 90 days or so that a Legacy Consultant is on board. So again, today we've just talked about the first 3 steps here. They're very exciting earning potentials way up here, and that'll be the subject of another presentation. But for now, especially early on, it's good to focus on the earlier stuff. So I hope you enjoyed that presentation. I'm sure you have questions, but there's lots of literature, and we stand ready to help you understand what we're doing here. Thanks.